Hi, Aries. Alright, welcome to space. Welcome back if you're returning. Alright, I had an epiphany about you, Aries. If you don't know, in astrology, the nodes of the moon, which seem to be some mysterious place between the moon and the earth. It's like a point versus a star. Anyway, they're going, the North Node will be going through your sign. And in sidereal, Uranus is also going through your sign. So this is a lot of energy. There's a lot of like external energy. So I feel like you and your opposite Libra are both, which is you, both sides of you, need to chill this time frame. Like really chill in this month. Put some things in order. So that when your birthday comes around, you're feeling top notch, right? And I heard this thing too. It was like, oh yeah. What is that? Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Like you probably need a day off, you know. So, maybe something to think about. Yeah. So you can kind of concentrate yourself so that you say the right things. I'd also think twice. Even think thrice before you say anything to anybody. Like be conscious of your words. Not that you're afraid to speak by any means. Be yourself, be honest. But it's like, well, you want it to be more of a like than a dislike, right? And more positive than a negative. So I chose totally different cards for you. You and Scorpio, I think, are going to be on the same day. I'm doing different cards, different spread than everyone else this month. Let's see what you want, Aries. Patience. Well, ask and ye shall receive, right? Patience. This has to do with Virgo, maybe a bit of Jupiter. I guess it could also be something about health. I guess being patient, I suppose, is like health in the heart and health in the mind, right? When one is patient, it's like your body is chill. So when something is mellow, not stagnant like a swamp, but like has a placidity to it, right? It's not all choppy. Then patience it is. If you also want some kindness, you can have that too. Maybe from people that love you. But you have to make sure that because patience is almost, I'm seeing this almost as like reeling back a little bit. Instead of you always taking charge, which you generally do, right? Or should. Aries should generally be doing that, but you're fire, so you can get burnt out, right? Let's see. She's pointing at what you need. This also has to do with your 6th house. I guess that emphasizes the health. What do you need? Inspiration. Okay, so maybe that's the thing. Is like reeling back a little bit is going to give you more of an idea about, especially during this season, on how to put, remember what we said, you want to concentrate, not to exert, again, a bunch of energy, but to allow something. Okay, you ever made balsamic, like a balsamic drizzle? Right? It's made out of vinegar, right? Now, technically, you can make that in a pan. It does take a reasonable amount of time, and you got to watch it all the time, you know, to make sure it doesn't burn. You gotta go in there and stir a lot. But the thing is with balsamic vinegar, this used to be a wedding gift in the Mediterranean, and because it actually takes if you just took vinegar and allowed it to be, it's almost like wine, but instead of 2 years, it takes like 20 years to do. Do you know what I mean? 10 to 20 years. I mean, of course, you could have it at 5, but it's these kinds of things. So there's something here where I just had such a shooting pain down my neck. Just a minute. Do you carry a lot, like, on one side of you? I keep seeing a person, like, carrying a child. You know how you, like, usually carry something, like, on one side, your purse or your kid or your groceries or whatever. Like, make sure it's a little bit more, use your other opposite, Libra. Make sure that's more balanced, okay? So what you want, let's go over this again. What you want is patience. Maybe this is what you just need to say is, it's actually cool that you're asking for this, although I heard someone say, I need to be more patient. And the thing is with you, I find you to be very advanced as a person in a lot of ways, but your patience, right, or frustration at times can be high with certain things, or high expectations too, for some of you, right? So when you are it's not about like, give me patience with this person. It's a lot, please, I need help with being patient. I want to be patient. Because need sometimes is annoying, right? It seems like too much of a responsibility. It's like, I want to use that Leo, the other fire. Like, I want to be able to chill in this time and to really put some things in order so that you're more prepared. Some of you, this could be having to do with your garden or with home, with other people, with your pets, your kids. You have a strong 6th, 12th house axis too, if you know what that means. You might want to pay attention to those houses. The inspirations looking to your future self. Let's see what they have to say. Mars and Sagittarius. Well, that's a lot of energy. Well, maybe you have a lot to do in the future, physically. You could be learning a lot too. Vision, nice. And so you want to make sure that your relationship with you right now is very good, settled, so that you are more faithful you don't fight yourself so much in ways of your own faith or faith in others. I also see, like, again, your relationship with others could be something that's more, because, you know, Mars in Sagittarius is kind of like, where someone sort of gets turned on by bickering, or like gets turned on by a little, like, it's more playful than it is technically aggressive. But this turns the switch on. Let's see what Spirit has to say about that. Secrets. Okay. And that's looking at your strength. Criticism, which is pointing over at your weakness. Speculation. Okay. Just a second. 2 Mars, 2 Jupiter, Mercury, and Venus. What are we talking about? Give me a second to tune in. Well, I guess part of the reason you have to reel back a little bit or put yourself in some kind of space is somebody may be ready for something, but another person is not, or something else isn't ready, right? Maybe you want something, for instance, is your want section, and you have patience here. Maybe there's something that you want that you just need to be a little bit more patient about. Maybe you need that time in between to speculate, to put on your spectacles and take a view of what's going on there, in ways of how you're looking at the situation, and then also, like, I don't know, who's really there to help you. Like maybe you want to look at your support system. Maybe people aren't leaning. Someone could be although I don't see it, I feel it. Like someone could be leaning. Because I guess your future self will feel forced. That was a lot of F's. This is all Saturn words. It will feel, your future self will feel forced, I guess, by something. If you don't take more so, like, and you won't feel like you have the strength for it, or the oomph for it, or the what have you, if you don't take some time to chill now and think about really what you want for the future. Because although this is technically, I'm seeing her almost like the Nine of Pentacles, which is a person that is single. They're very Virgo. It's like how they find their peace is through quiet, through solitude, through nature. Maybe this is something that you need to practice a little bit. But not because you're trying to get away from something else, like to do the difference. It's because that truly is what you desire. Just a second. Maybe you're worried about how other people feel. Again, like, there's something where, I don't know, maybe it's what your family thinks, or like, maybe even some, like, because the thing is if you have your strength right now as criticism, it's either coming from you or it's coming at you. Now, we've talked about this before, and it's always good to know. And I think this works with all signs, but particularly you, Aries. Because I feel like you're the most outward, and it depends where it is, but Aries is generally the most outward, confident fire sign to me. Sagittarius won't give a shit what anyone else thinks, but they'll still realize whether they're like really good looking or not, or if they're a really good painter or not, or if they're good at something or not. They'll be like, I'm okay. You know what I mean? Like Aries, I remember I told my sister once, I was like, wow, you look beautiful. She's like, I know. You know, it's very, and Leo just won't say anything. They're just like going off and doing whatever they do. Because they're not also concerned about anyone else, but they're not going to say anything about it, right? It's almost like Sagittarius will explain it. Aries will be straight about it. Leo is just going to be like, whatever. Like, you know, just going on their way, on their vision quest. Did we talk about that? Your vision quest? Oh, Libra. You could find that reading. That could be helpful. Maybe you could go through that in some kind of way. Make that a part of your day. Okay. You do have to be very quiet to be able to feel something, though. And I see it's important to be open to what other people are feeling, because, okay, say you're the strong one. Well, then you have the ability to be patient with other people that are feeling a lot right now. And then I saw the term case and point. Is that the... Where's the suitcase? Case and point. That's what I saw. It's like someone being like that. Maybe there's a little bit of journey. Or again, like some kind of... something. This is more future, though. Like April... June's stronger. Because the thing is I feel like your service or your help, your efforts are greatly needed, but you need to put them in different places, or like be aware of what that is and when that is, so that you can be your best person, right? For instance, there's still constructive criticism. I always say Virgo, totally. It's like, for instance, Virgo can always see the problem in something. They're really, really good at that, especially the problem in themselves. They're really great at that. But part of why they have this skill set is so that, especially as they mature, this skill set is very helpful, because you're walking along and all of a sudden, you get caught on, the thorn catches you. Well, then, even if they missed it without seeing it, when they actually feel it, what will happen is they'll back up. They'll realize, well, if I just push forward, the thorn is hooked, so you're not going to be able to let go. You have to back up a little bit from things and then disengage from it. And you can either tuck it up under the side if it's natural, right? If it's healthy. But you got to get it out of the way of the path so that you can keep going, right? And then for some of you, it could also be where maybe you need to prune some things. You know what I mean? Like, it could be a very emotional, I guess this could also be your deep emotions that you don't process also, but that's when you fight with others, is when you're not addressing your own, or that you're not receiving the support that you need. But that would also mean, I guess, where you're not you have a hard time expressing it. This Mercury in Pisces, to me, is I always make a joke about it in my head, where it's kind of like someone's always writing this really elaborate poem instead of just saying it straight. You know what I mean? And that's the thing, is like Virgo on the other end of this is like, no, so straight. Like, no, this is it. Oh, that's what I was going to say. This may be a really wonderful time for you to ask yourself, how can I improve? You may also want to ask your loved ones, or you could even ask people, like, I don't know, ask your mentor at your job or your boss, like, how do you feel that I could improve? Something along these lines, that may help you to, like, soothe some sort of quarrel in yourself, or you may discover something that would make it easier. Of course you could ask, strengths and weaknesses. That's helpful. But I guess knowing the weakness at this time, I guess you could even ask, like, yourself with what people you're dealing with, like, what their strengths and weaknesses are. But you, like Libra, sometimes can be, well, let's just read the cards. Well, I guess what people say really gets in your head sometimes, right? But it's supposed to, because it's there to help you change, whatever you've been thinking about, and then also realizing how you detach from certain mentalities, right? Again, that Uranus and Aries is strong, the birth card. Yeah. Okay, let's keep going. I guess Spirit and your strength, these sections are both looking over to Jupiter and to Cancer, which in your 4th house, which is basically talking about when somebody's crabby, maybe they need flowers. Maybe they need a shoulder rub that doesn't, that isn't sexual. Maybe they need, maybe they need something that is given without expectation. Something simple. something that's out of the kindness of someone's heart. And if any of you are in this I see this as like a 9 of Pentacles energy, which again is very independent, very solo kind of person. Well, maybe you need to figure out a little bit more of what you need. Because I know you can handle so much, but then you get really burnt out. Right? All fire does. You cannot burn a fire forever. Even, I mean, you can keep a small fire going. I kept a small fire going last winter just to see. I kept it for about a week. Maybe 8 days. 9 max. And then one day I slept a little bit later, and when I came onto it, the coals were cold, and I had to start again. But on that day, it was warm enough that I didn't need a fire at that time, right? So it was kind of like, but it was a really small fire. I would go in and just put little tiny things, it wouldn't be this big roaring thing. It was just like one little log at a time. And maybe this has to do with passion for you too. I suppose some of you could become pregnant too if you're of that age. So I believe we talked about this a long time ago, but like if you ever sleep with anybody, you want to make sure that that would be somebody that you'd want to have a baby with. Do you know what I mean? Don't be seduced by, I heard easy ways to be like, oh, that'll never happen if we do this. Like, don't get into that'll never happen. Right? You want to be more cautious than that. If that is, you want to know again what you want, right? And regardless of the technical child example here, this is also creation with other people, Oh, that felt good. It finally like popped. I keep seeing this like really old farmer, like so quiet at a table. And he's just kind of like, his body's so in pain because he's been working so hard, his whole life, but he never says anything about it. So I guess there's something about like a little bit of extra love or optimism could also be helpful. If you're making any plans with other people, what would you decide as an individual if you were in a group? Like, what is your individual opinion? And then maybe you also want to look at like, well, of course, if this is what you're wanting to do and everyone involved is like, yes, I want your opinion. Yes, you're in the group. What do you want to do? Then, of course, there would be some kind of compromise. But again, I feel like this time frame, you want to practice your patience, and then please be inspired, right? They say it's Pisces season. So what are we talking about? We're talking about empathy, forgiveness. That's also one of your words, one of Scorpio's words. Hold on a second. Ow. That ginger is so strong. It's about also really using your imagination to really think about the future, but in a positive, practical way, right? For instance, some of you may want something, right? But maybe some of you are only looking at the negative, or only looking at like what all the hardship is. Maybe you're in some Virgo space, or somebody is, but the point that has its purpose. Don't get me wrong. I see that. It's very important because this is going to also reveal any kind of secret thoughts that people have, which really go into these feeling spaces, right? For instance, you could be like, oh, everybody's fine, like it's all golden, or even I'm fine, but then you take a couple minutes to just sit quietly and they see someone with tears in their eyes. You know, it's kind of like, and someone being like, I didn't, you know, it's kind of like you gotta we'll figure out the oh, okay. You had this old reading. This has been happening all month. It's so trippy. Like, years ago, I probably shouldn't even, probably coulda, shoulda, woulda not recorded this month, because a couple years ago I did this thing where I was so drained, you know, and the energy astrologically felt so heavy that I was just like, watch a reading. Here's a reading from 1 year ago, right? That'll be relevant enough, because sometimes we think like, oh, I picked up that information. We had that conversation. It's no big deal. But you don't want a cocaine conversation. Do you know what I mean? Where things are just talked about, but nothing's done about it. It's like you want people to do what they say and to say what they do. And of course, you doing this as an individual helps a whole heap and bunch. And I heard, oh, yeah. So, use that inspiration again. Use that imagination in this time. Maybe some of you want to think about your future house. Or maybe some of you want to think about your future spouse. Or some of you may want to think about, I don't know, that thing that, I don't know, that affair you had a long time ago. Or again, like what you're desiring now, more than the past. It's more about now than it is in the past, okay? If we settle, if one does not take time in this space to think about the future, then the past will continue to be the future. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like setting something in motion. And you have less issues to deal with in the future, right? For instance, maybe someone has like this grand idea. They're like, oh, I want to get a house and I want to do this with it and that with it and da-da-da. And someone's just like, do you know how much that cost? You know, something like kind of practical. Now, the thing is I feel like for any of you, I don't feel like any of you have any money issues, actually. That's pretty awesome. Enterprise and generosity, yeah, you good. You good. Just a minute. Love your mother. Love your sister. Love your brother. Be open and wide to what you are desiring in the future. And then also take that hard-headed, like, because I feel like to me, Aries can be very practical. It has it in them. Although Virgo's your inconjunct, so this is why you're meant to learn from that so much, right? To put your ego in check too. Right, keeps you a little bit grounded. Do we talk about if you give yourself shit? But you want to be cautious with that. It's not about beating yourself up. It's kind of like when you put your, let's put it this way, different words. Words are magic, right? If you put yourself in check, right? You're playing chess by yourself and you're being the fairest on both sides, right? And you put yourself in check and you're like, check, right? And you feel good about it. When you come over on the other side of the table, well, usually when you're in check, you really want to double check, because it means the other side of you has gotten a little bit ahead. You know what I mean? Obviously, there was something where you weren't paying attention, and that's how you got put in check in the first place. So if you put yourself in check, then no one else will ever put you in check. No humans, anyway. Do you know what I mean? Now, of course, life is an infinite game. Somebody wants something serious here, too. Ooh, resourcefulness. Oh, I haven't seen this card. Look how beautiful that is. this artist, her name is Caroline Smith. She's an amazing artist. I've always really, really enjoyed her art so much. What are you inspired by? And I guess if you're faithful, then there are some things that you just have to give it to God. Do you know what I mean? And realize that you are safe and loved and protected. That those that you love are safe and loved and protected. We talked about this a long time ago. You, Aries, your family, your children, your job, all your finances, all that, it's all protected. It's all safe. You're good. Or that mentality is something that needs to be solidified. When you have that, then there's more faith. Right? Which causes you to be able to be more patient as you go along, more graceful, more kind, more, again, I see patient, less defensive, right? You have less fights with people. For instance, it's never your job to take care of karma. Do you know what I mean? Because all that does is make more karma for you. And it interrupts the family cycle, right? Oh, there was also this other reading of yours about, what was that called? Ancestral answers? It was like where some of your anger or where some of your, well, where your power comes from is from your ancestors, yes. Your history, right? But sometimes the best thing to do is to move out of the way. And allow that drama to just go right on by. Yep. Don't let other people get in your head. No. Impulsive, impatient. There you go, Aries. Who also is teaching you great patience, or who do you know that is incredibly patient, that has really beautiful principles of patience? Ooh, principles of patience. I like those words together. That's another Saturn. Those are more Saturn words. Maybe Saturn has something to do with this. Whoo! Alright, Aries. That's that. I love you so much. You know, I was feeling really low. Energy-wise. And then today I realized, I was like, oh, today's the new moon. It was like building up to that new moon, you know, less and less light. And sometimes it's needed to just tune in and be okay with whatever the feeling is and not be afraid, I don't know, to face it or to talk about it. Not jump at it. Patience. Patience. Oh, yeah. Oh, thanks for the good light, Aries. I needed that. My grandpa was an Aries. My sister's an Aries. My nephew's an Aries. I love them all so very much. One of my other best homegirls, Aries. It's powerful energy you have, you know. So inspiring. Thank you. Talk to you later. Peace out.